So what's
All right.
topic first before you hit that live light?
Okay. Well, I already did hit the button, but a lot of the hangouts that I do on here what I end up doing is I'll end up trying to sit there and pipe the audio from a video into the hangout so the people in the hangout can see it, can hear it rather well. People are here listening to it externally. And in the past, this is regarded jumping through all kinds of weird hoops like virtual audio cable and this kind of stuff. So I wanted to kind of open up the Hangout a little bit by just pimping this site called Rabbit. That's rabb.it.com. And it's actually kind of a neat site from the looks, from what I've seen so far. And I'm actually going to double check that it's .com and not .org in a moment. Let me just bring up my bookmarks here so I can verify that I actually have that right.
Rab.it. Rab.it.
Oh, it's
You're not,
rabb.it. You're right. That is the end of it. Duh. Okay, but in any case, it's a site where you can actually go online with a bunch of friends, sit in a room and queue up very different sharing sources and watch shows together. Now, in terms of broadcasting YouTube content into a Hangout and this kind of stuff, so we can do commentary on it live, this would be a great resource for that. But just for the sake of anyone that wants to sit there and be able to watch something on Hulu or whatever with friends, it's also something you can do that with too. Here we go. Go to the Launchpad for a moment. Here we have HBO Go. They've got Netflix, Hulu, Crunchyroll, and YouTube in there, as well as, I guess that's NBC.com or CBS.com or some shit. I don't fucking know. I never remember which one's the damn Peacock these days. But yeah, I thought I'd take a
NBC.
moment to just pimp that, and now we'll go to more normalized here, and I can close out of that shit. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I had a thought on that. I wonder if Rabbit is in response to that, the lost legal battle. I think it was in New York with that streaming site. It was streaming local television and that.
I don't know.
Um,
But it seems that only the host has to actually log into the site, so that's really kind of nice.
cool.
did you say you were going live again?
We are on, actually. At the
We
moment.
are.
It says off air to me.
No. It's, hang on, here it is. I had to get my little blue bar going.
Yeah.
I've got blue bars now.
All right, cool.
Oh,
okay. All right.
Yeah. And here's the watch link for anybody who wants.
Okay. Well, I honestly don't know if we're going to get other people in here. It's a little bit before noon, so it's kind of a weird time, so we'll see. But seeing as what was going to be a weird Gray Line special hangout kind of tanked because I was talked down for my rage, I figured I should start another hangout for one reason or another.
I'll tweet it.
Yeah, feel free to. Be nice to get different people in the house for a change.
You could always get Sty in here. That'll make it exciting.
Well, it used to be that you could just invite circles, and they've taken away that ability. So you just have to share the link when you post it on G+, which is kind of a nuisance, to say the least.
Very much so.
Let's see now.
Very much so. You don't have your text box up.
I'm getting it now, actually.
Yep.
There we go. That takes a second. There we go. Come on. And there we go. Pimpin' Rabbit. There we go.
Ooh, I actually have my proper account in this Hangout. Cool.
Miracles do happen, apparently.
I don't know if I do. I have no idea. Here, let me type something.
It just says X. It just says X.
Yeah, it always puts me on this account. Oh, not that I care. Oh, it just says me. Me.
Bring up.
Yeah, it says X space exile.
Yep, that's that account.
Yep.
Yeah. I usually have the space 001 in these things.
Oh, so you got an old account too? That does that?
Well, the 001 is actually my
last name.
My real G Plus page. Without the space is my YouTube, and when they integrated, I had to get a G Plus page for YouTube, so I primarily use that. And then the Hangouts, I started doing Hangouts, and it kept taking me to my actual account, so I had to change all the settings on that to match.
Yeah, remember back when they made us choose a name? They kept forcing us to choose a real name for your account, right?
Yeah.
There was a
Yeah, about
workaround
that.
for it. You could basically say "fuck you" to them, and I did with the old 13 Heathens account.
I did too. I changed it first to Skylar White, which is not my name, and then later they let you change it. So that's when I changed it to XILD. Yeah.
Well, Facebook is running into a lot of trouble and headache over that because people are bitching like crazy.
I hate Facebook.
I got a
Hate it.
question
too.
for you. I seem to remember there being a certain degree of hatred against Lacey Green. What's the deal with that?
Well, she's now on MTV. Like she's gone kind of mainstream. Yeah.
Is that why people are grumpy about her?
Yeah, it's like she has success and people are like mad. You know,
Oh,
haters.
okay.
Gonna hate.
I don't think that's it. I think they're actually talking about her ideas. Like Noel Plum just made a video about her.
Yeah.
So I mean, now that she is mainstream, her ideas are out there more than ever, and I think people are just making, you know.
Well, I don't think she really sciences because, oh my God, the way
Yeah.
she described certain things, and the one that was showcased in Noel's video was some British quote unquote scientist, but she acted like she was in junior high.
I like that person as a YouTuber. I can't remember her name. Somebody just showed me her YouTube channel. She's a pretty good YouTuber. But the science on brain and gender is out there still. So
It's a 4-minute video. She's only going to talk about one subject, and her main audience are MTVers. So they're kind of. She's not going to be talking in big long words.
Pop science. It's pop.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just bite-sized chunks, so it's kind of weird. People telling her she should be talking more scientifically. Her audience is 13 to 22-year-olds, so that's not going to happen.
Oh, true, but the thing is, there's blatant inaccuracies in the way she. I mean, she can do it, but let's hit the nail a little more on the head instead of just make it squishy.
Yeah, you can do science videos for 13-year-old demographics.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're doing the political.
Well, they've got to make it hip and make it. Yeah. You got to make it hip for the kids. If it gets too wordy, they're gonna turn the channel.
I don't believe that, by the way.
Neither do I. I was just going to say, most kids think that's lame.
Hang on, I'm going to counter that with 2 words. Well, 1 word technically, I guess. It's a name, Harry Potter. Yeah, that'd be 2 words. Fuck it.
It's just like people who write for children and know what they're doing when they write for children. Okay, right? Book writers, they know that you don't talk down to them. You don't. You can just tell kids stories and things in a regular adult way. And if you explain it clearly, they will understand.
You got it.
Well, you're gonna hit different beats if you're using a visual medium. If you're using like a pure literal medium, of course you can go through an expansive thought process. But if you're using something that's completely dependent on visual spectacle, you have to sort of stick to a certain rhythm.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Not actually a scientist, but great science communicator. He's actually an engineer. I remember.
Yeah, it's like writing his name. You know what you're going to get when you click on Bill Nye the Science Guy. When you look at Lacey Green, you also know what you're going to get. You're going to get bubbles and happy and, well, I guess boobs too. Sure.
No. I say boobs and not in a sexist or anything. Wait, she acts like she's junior high, but she acts like a specific type of junior high girl, the bimbo. That's how her personality comes across, and then she tries to talk about science stuff and that. The two don't mix, and it's talking down.
I don't know. That's just more of the cadence of her voice. She can't her voice isn't like it's a playful voice. She can't change the sound of her voice to sound like
sure she can.
Obviously,
then she would be fake. Right?
Some people suck at that, Para. In fairness.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I agree. She definitely does. No, I mean that's what's putting a character on, right? That's acting.
Persona.
Right.
Yeah.
Her persona online. Now she's probably not that personality of a ditz. Not calling her a ditz. Personality of a ditz. She's probably
let's go with bubbly.
Off that.
Let's go with bubbly.
Gag me with a spoon.
Let's just go with bubbly for now.
Okay.
Part of the reason
Bill Nye was bubbly. I'm sorry.
The part of the reason why I bring her up at all, though, is I was sitting there going through doing the prep work for next month's big video, going after that Spirit Science history piece of shit, and it was more of the matter of, are people going to be like, oh, for fuck's sake, it's her, or not? Because I know at one point she was kind of on the weird blacklist kind of thing. That, she was one of the unmentionable people. And I never understood why.
Because she's a feminist. That's why people sort of are hyperactive towards her. If she didn't say that she was a feminist, people are like, But because she's a feminist, people become blinded, like, "Rrr."
Here's the problem I have. Yeah. She is a feminist. She's a sex-positive feminist. Yeah, that's what she says she is, and I have some issues with her because she's not really sex-positive about some things. Yeah, she does.
Who's this again? Sorry, I missed.
Lacey Green.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. As feminist, just mainstream, regular feminism stuff, but she portrays herself as sex positive. And she does do a lot of sex ed, which is good for that demographic, and she has the demographic she has. But I see her more as somebody like Anita Sarkeesian. She's telling that sort of...
Yeah.
So the claim...
Feminist, so I'm not going to agree.
So if you're saying you're sex positive, you have to check everything that sex positivity stands for?
No, I think what she's trying to say is that she's pushing an agenda, and her attitude or whatever doesn't quite match
I think
what she's pushing.
If I may, the thing is with the notion of somebody being sex positive, it's it's not a big deal. It's not like it's a sin. Do your own thing. Just be safe about it. Yada yada yada. But when you start sitting there and saying, okay, I am sex positive, da 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 da, but then when somebody makes a comment like, well, it's smart to try before you buy, just at least to make sure everything fits together, and the person poo-poos it or something like that, then you have to question how sex positive they really are.
Yeah.
I will have issues with people who are claim to be sex positive feminists when they parrot the line of feminism that goes like this, teach men not to rape. Yeah.
Yeah, that rhetoric.
But when they demonize one gender over the other, that I will start to pay attention to what they're saying, because I don't want those sort of what I consider to be unhealthy messages being put out there to entire populations of very young people. Yeah, in the same arena that they're learning about sex education.
Yeah, it's SJW wording.
The interesting thing is that there's actually what is it? I almost said Twitter. It's not Twitter. What's the thing that's like Twitter but assholes all entirely?
Snapchat.
That might be it. I don't know. I don't remember what it is. I'd have to look it up again. But regardless, there's a site out there that I went to that they have this special board or subreddit. That's it, subreddit, where it's SJW or Stormfront is the way that they have it, is the actual title of it. And it's fucking hilarious because they'll have stuff from extremist feminists, extremist racists, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the trick is they'll take out certain words to try to figure out which one you're talking about. And it's really hard sometimes. And you'll see these things like, if we got rid of all of the blank, the world would be a much better place. I think we should take all the blank and go and have them all, killed or whatever. And you're like, okay, who the hell is this? And it'll turn out it's like some ultra ridiculous feminist or something. And you're like, wow, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
Anyway, her ideas are out there, and they're out there in the mainstream, so people are going to be talking about them more, I think.
Yeah. If you want a sex-positive YouTuber who's got the excitement, well, not the excitement, the exuberance as Bill Nye, there's a channel called Sexplanations. It's one of the Hank Green channels. She's Oh, I mean, Bill Nye's a good comparison. She's a sex therapist, sex educator, but she presents it in such a fun way.
Oh yeah.
And, oh, I gotta find the channel.
Oh, I know.
She's
I've seen
just
it.
beautiful.
What's the
Yeah,
call? What's it called?
Sexplanations.
Sexplanation.
But she also
Yeah.
takes no social stance on anything, which makes it easier and more digestible.
Yeah.
So she's
I
she's a
disagree.
different flavor.
And that's
I
good.
actually disagree. No, she does take a stance. A let's kill all the negative about sex and the words and the actions and the everything. Right?
Yeah, like
because she will go through the whole list. No, she did, but that's why I disagree, because she actually does.
I'm not saying there's
try to
anything
do
wrong
of that.
with being
Oh,
a
no, I
generalist. It just means you're not taking a stance on anything. You're not saying anything overtly too political. You're just saying enough. You're just talking about a subject.
And that's
essentially.
good. I think that's
Yeah.
a good thing. I don't think it's good to politicize sex. I think it's always, I can almost always think of a way in which it comes back to cause harmful effects between the genders. Yeah, this is, it happens
but
all the time.
If disparities exist, and by not addressing anything politically, you're basically just sort of not doing anything at all. You're just hoping it fixes itself.
How are you not doing anything just because you don't politicize sex
No, I
education?
mean, you don't have to. I mean, that's one way that you can go about it. But if someone happens to be politically affiliated with something, of course they're going to filter their opinion through that lens. So why is that bad?
Why would you even politicize sex education? Surely it would be give out the evidence to the children, give out the facts, and allow them to decide.
Well, when you're talking about like social injustice, the facts are kind of very malleable because they're based on humans, and humans constantly change.
But what does social justice and social injustice have to do with sex? You want to teach sex education. In my opinion, you want to be teaching people how to have safe and good sex. Yeah.
Mhm.
After that, I don't see how political or how moral you have to be about that issue.
Well, if a person's
Yeah,
religious,
because
they may not want to hear it, or if a person is of a Republican background and very conservative, they may say, you know what, I don't want your sex education at this stage in our school. So at some point, you're going to enter the realm of the political and the social. It's unavoidable.
Well, hang on though. I want to point something out. Now, mind you, I'm in Texas.
Robotic.
Audio's breaking up, mate.
Ah, crap. Let me do something about that.
Yeah.
Might have to
You
close
also
out
had
the
a
window.
stream interruption. So.
Here we go. Get out of
Well,
that.
No.
well,
That'll fix
I
it.
would like to say that maybe talk a little more.
Okay. Hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up my cock. I slapped
No.
it down and okay.
Nope.
Let me read.
No.
I hope
We
that
don't
was
want any robotic cock. We want.
And re-entering.
Oh, you said cock.
The mouse ran
There
up my
we go.
cock.
We were talking about sex education. We got to have penis in here somewhere. It's a tradition.
Okay, the question is about politicizing sex education for the masses. I don't see how teaching people how to have safe and good sex is political unless, like you're saying, you're teaching it to a certain age. Then some people may object to that. Yeah, I think not as many people as we might believe, but
Well, I mean, just to be kind of a dick about it, what is better at trying to, preserve the sanctity of marriage? Sitting there and not teaching people about anything or teaching them how to find the G-spot in the clitoris. I'm sorry, but hey, let's face it.
Exactly. At 72 virgins, I could never be a Muslim. I'd want 72 whores. I want a good time, not a hard time.
The problem is, it doesn't actually mention whether they're women or not either.
Exactly. I think Dark Matter got it right. It was all the Trekker geeks and all that.
Well, I don't know. In this day and age, I mean, you look at the amount of promiscuity and what have you in society. The only virgins that you could really potentially find 72 of would be nuns, and they're not going to have any of that.
And half of them aren't virgins either, because they come there afterwards.
Well, still. General joke still applies.
Oh, true.
If
Yeah.
you to a nunnery.
Now, in Texas, they have pretty much killed any form of sex ed. What they do is they take kids into the class and they actually lie to them. They tell them that none of the different forms of contraception work. They tell them that condoms either break or fall off, thus proving not everything's bigger in Texas. And that's one of my regular lines in terms of ragging on them. But in addition to this, they go through this whole program. You have sex once, you're going to get VD, and it's VD, 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 venereal disease. If you have sex and you're not married, you're getting VD, ba, 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 ba. And there's one major thing they leave out of their curriculum. They're not telling them how the babies are made.
Yeah.
Storks, mate.
I mean, the actual biological, how babies are made is not being taught. How the hell is this sex ed? I remember sex ed when I was a kid. It was almost entirely about how the babies are made and the uterus and all this kind of stuff. That's almost entirely it was. It was boring as shit. It made sex sound dull.
Yeah.
But here they're just teaching, no, you have sex, you get VD, without really getting into the whole thing, what it's about, this and that. There are kids in schools thinking, well, anal's okay because you're not sticking penis in vagina. Just stupid shit.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I mean, oh shit! My head just derailed itself. Sorry.
We ended up with a major outbreak of chlamydia because of this in Texas.
Well, I was just going to say the good thing about it is that "fuck me in the ass for Jesus" works well.
Yeah, it's a funny gag, but you can get VD that way just as easily.
Well,
I got. Sorry.
I was just making the joke about.
I know the song. The song's hilarious.
They only know one thing. So that's why it's allowed to proliferate. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, there are Christian kids who actually think that's a good workaround. So, yeah.
The problem is that instinct takes over. That we have, a biological imperative. That
we are animals.
Well, yeah, we have this weird, and this isn't meant to be misogynistic in any way, but effectively, men need their penises playing with, and women need babies, and that biological imperative is what drives the species.
Yep.
Well, in essence, what happened was my daughter, through going to public schools, got her religious sex ed through the schools, and I had to actually take her, ironically, to church to learn comprehensive.
The whole moral argument is not about quote unquote thinking of the children. No, that's projection. It's terrible not the phrase. What it is you have a problem with sex.
Yeah.
Don't put it on other people, and that's the real thing with sex education. Most of it, like you said, Shadow, it's bland, right? You get a lot of giggles and that, of course. Teenagers.
Of course, my daughter.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all other people's issues with it. It's not honest education, and just because it deals with certain matters, get over yourself.
Now,
you have not. Right.
The church that we go to is a Unitarian Universalist church. We go occasionally, not that often, but they have a program there called OWL. It's Our Whole Lives is what the full name of it is, OWL. And this program is incredibly comprehensive to the point that I'm looking through the curriculum going, okay, I feel uncomfortable because this is my daughter. And then I immediately turned to my wife and I said, okay, fine, she can go because I'm being a hypocrite because I wouldn't mind my son going through the same program. But the amount of education they got, they got the whole, this is where the G-spot's located. This is where you can find your clitoris, and all this kind of stuff. They brought in somebody that was trans to give a lecture. They gave in somebody that was a young mother to give a lecture. All these different things, and it was incredibly comprehensive to the point that this would make a lot of people uncomfortable potentially. Of course, my wife's response after hearing the curriculum said, "Do you have a version of this for adults?"
That is, yeah. That actually, that's needed. That really is needed.
For adults too, yeah. I agree.
But yeah, I mean,
there's just a lot of people having bad sex.
Yeah.
The problem with this is that, what happened in the 80s, we had AIDS and HIV. And if children aren't told the dangers, then they could end up acquiring that and spreading it further and things like that. I mean, yeah, we have drugs to counteract it, but it's still there. It's not defeated.
Yeah. Well, it's the same old story. I mean, syphilis.
I suppose the equivalence of the HIV/AIDS thing is, having the small kid that you can put your hand on their head while they're swinging, trying to hit you. Just because they got short arms.
Now, the entertaining thing is that after she'd gone through the OWL program at UU Church, she was going back to school, and she'd hear kids say things about basically what they knew from, well, frankly, trying to watch porn on the internet and this kind of stuff. And she was correcting all these myths and trying to help her classmates understand more about, their actual own physiology and this kind of stuff. She was teaching her classmates.
Yeah. One thing
Because
that
all
really
the
needs...
misinformation was just ridiculous.
Yeah, there's actually I can't remember the name of the site. There's a site out there that teaches the fallacies about what people are quote unquote learning from porn, and I think I think that should be part of sex ed. That people should understand, the young people especially, that what you're seeing in porn is it's entertainment and it's meant to stimulate arousal. Yeah, it's not really how things actually work.
Okay, I'm going to say something stupid and embarrassing now that actually leads off of that. Now,
Yeah.
I wasn't like the kid that watched porn kind of thing, but I did watch Porky's. And for years after that, I thought that there was something strange and magical about penises that made women scream.
What's Porky's?
Porky's. It's
I
one of
have
the,
no idea.
Porky's. It's this crappy old movie back in the day, and in one of the scenes they have this nurse going down the line inspecting guys' junk to see which one has the mole, so she can identify the penis that was stuck through a wall in one scene.
Oh, come on. That was not a crappy movie.
The response to... Oh, it was. But the response to that was all the women in the shower screaming, so I thought that women had the natural inclination to scream, and they were afraid of penises. It was this really stupid, naive view I had as a young child.
Yeah.
Let me.
No,
It was a Canadian movie. I have to say it's a good movie.
There we go. Let me bring Prudy into the room here.
Does anybody remember the book Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret?
I remember the book, but I've never actually read it. I know I've heard about it several times.
I think that's one of the books that I read that actually talked about a young, teenager having sex for the first time, and she's like literally describing what a penis felt like when she touched it and that sort of thing. That was the first I'd heard I had no idea. Yeah. It actually made an impression on me. I was like, wonder what that's like. So, of course, then I went out and tried it for myself.
Tally-ho.
Yeah. But it's educational.
But, I mean, the weird taboo of the whole thing. I mean, people end up with these weird notions of what sexuality is like and what relationships are like. And I think this is problematic, and it's funny because we talk about things like, say, the rape culture, what have you, in the U.S. And I actually met this guy ages ago, or I should say this guy that I knew. I was over at a friend's house, and there was this guy, Joe, that came over, and his sister had a friend staying over there, and the friend walked by and just, did basically what waitresses do, that whole smile at the group and da-da-da and keep walking. Because, friendly person. He took this as meaning that she wanted him.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm in there now.
And we're like, dude, come on. And he's like, no, man, I bet that I could have her if I wanted her, da-da-da, kind of thing. And we're like, yeah, fuck you, dude. And he's like, I'll bet you $100. We're like, we'll take you up on that fucking bet. I tell you, within 5 fucking minutes, we were running up those stairs, grabbing him out of the room because he was ready to sexually assault her. Just to try to win a fucking bet. But in his mind, she actually did want what he had. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
Well, there is a lot communicated between looks between people, but
you have to learn to fucking interpret it.
You have to make sure that what you're seeing is actually what's going on, and there's a way to suss that out.
Yeah. Ask fucking questions. Holy crap. Try to communicate. Don't just go and think, she wants me, I'm going to take. What the fuck? Are you a caveman? Holy crap.
Yeah.
Misogyny.
Ah, fucking ridiculous shit.
There's your rape culture there.
But I mean, this goes back to that hangout we had ages ago that Mark Anthony, of all people, freaking jumped into, in which our final conclusion was maybe we need to teach people what constitutes rape. Holy crap.
Oh, jumpins.
This guy didn't get it. Mark Anthony didn't get it. Apparently there were some people that, and I'm kind of blaming sexual education on this.
Well, it's a great place to correct the cultural behavior and perspectives on it, because I'll tell you, there's a lot of male dominance around here, and some of the interactions I've seen are quite rather pathetic. Getting on that rapey bend.
Back in my day,
Back in your day. Yes.
back in my day, we talked about it in terms of being pressured to have sex and doing things we might not have really wanted to do. And today we call that rape. So, yeah, this is just what I've seen develop over the course of my lifetime.
Mind you, there's a difference between rape and seduction, but I'm pretty sure they didn't cover that.
Yeah. Well, good luck even having a conversation about that.
Yeah.
It feels like wrong thing to even be thinking or talking about it now.
Yeah, the cultural dynamics change so damn much. It's just kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
And this is kind of why I'm like, it's almost like we need actual boundaries set so people get it.
Yeah. Wrong. Lou Pliskin. If you stick your dick in and it's wet, it's not rape. Incorrect.
Wow, Lou. Seriously? Wow, what
That
a
is not
comment.
true.
That's fucking hilarious, and it's deliberately, making a joke. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
The problem is there are people that have that kind of outlook that aren't joking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time to start coughing again. Lovely.
Are you vaping?
No, actually, it's a normal cigarette at the moment.
Oh.
Just ultralights. I should try to get back with a vaping, but the store that sells the shit I might not be returning to anyway, because we went to get cigarettes yesterday and they gave my wife the wrong kind, and we have to go back there and yell at them, and I think there's some kind of weird law against returning cigarettes after purchasing them.
Yeah, you get strangled for that.
So I'm basically going to be going in there, talking with the owner for a few minutes, and basically throwing the carton at him, telling him he just lost 2 customers.
Ooh.
And we've been customers there for 3 years now.
Not good.
Well, when I used to work behind the register, one guy's like, "You've just lost a customer." Okay, he threw the cigarettes down, walked off. 3 hours later,
got any
came back.
smokes?
Yeah,
Came
pretty
back
much.
to Camels.
You're coming back, smoker.
No, there are other places we can shop,
Okay.
and there are other places we do shop as well. But that particular place we're not going back to.
I had the best place right within walking distance of my house in the United States, and it sold these awesome cartons of cigarettes for $17 a carton. So, and they were good.
No, this is one of those situations. Shopping at this shop only saves us like $2 a carton.
I roll my own.
Yeah.
And considering that we're basically out the cost of that carton because they gave her the wrong fucking kind. And it's one of those things, it's the sealed box that doesn't have the label on the outside, so you don't know till you open the fucking thing up. And we got home, opened it up, and she asked for lights, you gave her regulars. Fuck you. We can't smoke these.
Well, you should take them back and make them trade them out.
And that's the thing is, the question is whether they will or not, and if they won't, then, oh well, 2 customers down. Sorry, we're not coming back. Fuck that.
Oh, they
Awesome.
probably will.
No, actually, they probably can't.
I've had that. I've done it. It just, yeah. Oh, you don't have a carton of the cigarettes I want, so they just give me a bunch of packs of cigarettes and charge it up as a carton. So they should be able to do it.
Yeah, we'll
That's
see. I
true.
don't know. I'll find out later. I'm not going down there for about another 3 hours or so. After mail comes, at least. I like to check mail. I'm waiting for a letter.
They could basically just pull out like 8 or 9 packs of cigarettes and give them to you. Yeah, they could do that.
If they can figure something out, they can figure something out. But I mean, that's kind of the thing is there was no way to know that they'd given us the wrong ones till we opened the shit up, and it was wrong. They should have double checked before even handed them over.
Right.
Because yeah, that was horseshit.
Yeah, it is. Hey, did you guys see that video of the e-cigarette battery exploding in people's pants and stuff? Have you seen it?
No.
Oh my God, you got to be careful. Apparently, they explode, and when they do, I mean, we're ending up with people with their entire legs burned with second-degree burns and stuff. The batteries in these things can explode, and if you put just a battery in your pocket and then throw some change in there, apparently that's a problem. I just started sussing this out. It's like, what the heck? I saw video footage of somebody on fire from one of these things.
Some of them are cheaply manufactured. We've been having this problem for a while. The thing is, when you have something that has basically multiple batteries in it, whether it's a chain of them or what have you, if they're not actually insulated together, they can fucking blow up. And actually, one of the people that I heard discussing how this happens and the why this happens was actually Elon Musk in terms of the issues with designing the batteries for their cars.
The Tesla, yeah.
Because if they're not packaged as one unit, there's actually a major fire hazard.
Yeah, it's short. Well, it creates a short, and it switches positive negatives on each other and runs the current or something. Yeah,
So yeah, if you're getting cheap fucking batteries, and that's the problem is it's hard to tell whether you're getting a cheap battery or not.
Could be a cheap casing too to the e-cig.
Yeah, the thing is we don't have X-ray vision, so that's kind of a problem. The company that I'm going through seems to be okay so far because I haven't had any problems with change and the battery in my pocket yet.
And that's why regulation is good.
Yeah, kind of necessary because some of these things are to protect us from the manufacturers.
Well, the video that I saw was somebody in England, so I don't know. It's pretty scary. The damage that it did to his legs. I mean, they had to put him out with a fire extinguisher.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on my Facebook. If anybody has me on Facebook.
Well, I guess it would technically be an electrical fire, wouldn't it? Yeah.
No, acid.
I'll be right back.
The compounds in the fire extinguisher would have neutralized the acid.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense too. But I was thinking it would be an electric fire, possibly with the involvement of acids.
Now this, I'm just want to share this. This is supposedly a e-cig explosion.
Oh crap! That's lovely.
Yep.
Wow, that's kind of significant.
Yeah, and it's acid eating away at everything.
Oh, hang on. Let me get your screen here for a second, so people out there know what we're talking about. Screen cap. There we go. Yoink, and region added. There we go.
Yeah. It's not a fire. Yeah, it's not a fire because it's very localized. There's no real carbon. There is some blackening and some spots, but those are bits of the material just as it's been bubbling away from the acid.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have think that they'd get. I don't know. The thing is, I say that the e-cigs I smoke have very narrow battery compartments, and this might have been one of the larger ones. I don't know, because they have some that have pretty substantial batteries, and mine doesn't. And
cheap shit is cheap shit. You gotta watch it.
Yeah, the batteries on mine are roughly the size of a cigarette.
Yeah, and people have to remember that technology is built on stuff which is bad for us.
Typically, yeah.
Right.
So you did a search?
Yeah, I've seen a few of the things. It's just
hang on a second. Hey, Prudent!
Hey, Prudent.
Squidly diddly, say something, come on.
He's AFK.
Ah, jerk. Comes in here, hold a space. He's lucky we have the room.
Now there's a definite example of acid over fire. That's a better picture.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Keep making me screen share stuff. Come on, guys.
Sorry.
So demanding on me.
What's that guy with the black tongue? What the heck? What is that above? There's a picture up there.
It blew up while he was puffing on it.
Oh, lovely.
Oh my God.
So he would have inhaled the acid.
Oh man.
As it was bubbling in the chamber.
Is that
okay,
acid?
that's something.
Lovely. Yeah, we don't need to see that.
Yeah, no, there's
Okay.
a lot of other gross
That can go
stuff,
away.
so,
That's
yeah.
kind of nasty.
Yeah, that's why I went to the car.
Well,
Are
it
these,
just
like,
goes to say,
cheap
don't have
ones, or-
e-cig. This just goes to show you, don't have e-cig, have sex instead.
Exactly.
Just smoke regular cigarettes, for heaven's sake. They're much safer.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap. I wish I hadn't seen that. Now it worries me.
As I have a coughing fit.
I'm going to have to do some research.
Yeah, that kind of stuff will
And
make
a
you a little
lot of-
paranoid.
And a lot of kids are grabbing them.
Yeah,
Mm.
I don't know.
I
The
say
kids,
kids, I mean young people.
younger, not actual kids, I hope.
Yeah, well, I read a story on the CBC site. It's becoming a concern in Canada because we don't quite have the regulation on them, because they'll get the pens, the vaporizers, and then substitute the stuff for real tobacco and stuff.
Yeah.
So but it's as young as 12, 13 buying this stuff up.
And
Yeah.
in response to the chat, Vapid thoughts, quote, lithium batteries can catch fire. Yes, they can, because a lot of them aren't properly insulated.
Yeah. Cheap batteries.
Yeah, Elon Musk did a whole presentation talking about it because he has this lovely device called, what is it? The something or other wall. I'm not thinking of it right now. That is actually a power wall, basically, for charging cars and to hold solar power for the house and this kind of stuff. It's kind of a neat contraption.
Mm.
But he spends a lot of
it's
time
only
talking
in-
about the way it's assembled so that it's all self-contained and this kind of stuff. Because the last thing you want is it blowing up your frickin' house.
Yeah. Vapid mentioned RC planes, says they do get hot if you don't have the right setup. And that's the key, the right setup, because a battery, you have to match wattage, amperes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the cheap ones, huh, Lou? What's the cheap ones?
The biggest problem is the cheap ones because a lot of companies are going basically and getting them from crap manufacturers in China to save money. And yeah, that shit's not made insulated or made as well. They cut the corners and you pay for it with it going kaboom.
And speaking of such, did you hear that Foxconn, the lovely people that have the suicide nets, has bought Sharp, the Japanese company, Sharp TVs and that?
What are suicide nets?
In some of the manufacturing plants, they put nets outside high windows because people were jumping out and killing
Oh,
themselves.
holy crap. Oh, wow. Okay.
Suicide prevention nets. Okay. That wasn't what first came to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. What did you say? The same people who made the suicide nets did what?
Oh, they bought Sharp corporate, the Sharp company.
Oh, that's been bought out.
So they're going to try and catch TVs now? Is that what you're saying?
I have no idea. But Foxconn, I don't know if they still do. They probably do make a lot of Apple products.
Oh, okay.
And it's, as far as everything I've looked at, it's very slave labor. And young.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Penn and Teller Bullshit did a really weird thing on the child labor and this kind of stuff, and it was odd. It was one of those things.
Well,
that
he's
is really,
libertarian.
it's one of those things that it really kind of challenges some of your assumptions and it leaves you grumbling while still wanting to disapprove.
Hmm. Yeah, well, that gets into the whole discipline thing, right, and responsibility.
Well, actually, this
that
was
where you're
talking about
leaning, or-
countries that are so fucking poor. This is about the only way families can actually
Oh,
survive.
yeah.
It was talking about that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think Brazil, there's some area, or not necessarily Brazil, but South America, there's some areas where kids daily go out and dig in the garbage to find stuff, either to help the family or to sell to help the family. And then they peddle it on the streets. It's disgusting.
Good rule of thumb, if the tobacco industry is giving them away for free, it's not good quality. Yeah, I'd say that'd be the case. Yeah, they might have a vested interest there.
Yeah.
Just might. A little bit.
Actually, I have a roller for my cigarettes that I've had for over 10 years. I've replaced the hinge pin with a toothpick, actually. But I buy canned tobacco and every time I've been picking it up lately, the company's been giving away a free roller. And it's about twice as hard to use.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but Prudent, that's the problem. They'd have nothing else. Where's the nothing? Where's the else?
Okay,
Right.
the chat has no idea what was said or what the comment was. But in
Sorry.
any case, pretty much what Prudent said is the general gist of the Penn and Teller thing, talking about that a lot of these families that are ending up having to basically send their kids to work at these sweatshops wouldn't have any income if it weren't for it. Now, it doesn't necessarily make it right, but in terms of how it actually does help the communities, it's almost justifiable from their socioeconomic standpoint.
Well, I wouldn't say it's justifiable. It's a requirement.
Yeah,
in those
that's almost a better way to put it.
But, yeah. Because I'm sorry, most kids are screwed up because they're not allowed to be kids. From their context, it makes sense. Well, inside a bubble, sure, it makes sense. Prudent. I'm talking about bubble of child abuse. I don't know other words, but I know that's not accurate. But it's to be so poor.
It's one of those things is that you're kind of stuck with a
5-year-olds.
lot that you have, and I don't know. The thing is, all things are ultimately more complex than just simply looking at it at the surface level. One
Yeah.
example of this, of course, is recycling, which is another one that Penn and Teller's Bullshit did a really good discussion on, because they were talking about how much power and energy and resources are used in the actual recycling process, that it's actually on a lot of levels more effective to just keep making new ones and screw the recycling.
No. Certain things we have to, though, like
as well as the environmental impact as well. I mean, there's a lot of factors there. None of these are just cut and dry. Go ahead.
In Nova Scotia, we have an excellent recycling setup, and it's tied in with a buy and sell scheme. Basically, they weigh you coming in with the stuff that you're taking to the junk, and weigh you going out. You pay a fee for them to process it, but you can also buy it. Buy stuff out of there, so they sell off the copper, the stuff that can be immediately reused.
Now, mind you, I say this as I go out to bring in the recycling bin.
Yeah.
Of course, some of the stuff that people requested them do was actually kind of funny, especially in hindsight. Now that we have this stupid flat Earth movement and all this shit, because one of the things they ended up doing was NASA is bullshit. And it was funny because this was one that they really had a hard time actually doing, because, oh no, it's NASA. But they ended up calling out some areas within that are kind of crap too. And it's one of those things is I watched a lot of their shows, and some of them I had that impulse to disagree with, even when they were making reasonable points.
Yeah. And a thought on the point of it's cheaper to and better for the environment just to make new. The issue then could be moved to make more economical friendly products, like plastics. You can make plastics out of corn and other things like that. Stuff that could be easily melted down or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But yeah. That's your feelings, Lou. How can I respect your feelings? You wouldn't let me rape you last time. So, sorry. That was another hangout. Not actual rape.
Yeah.
It was funny that way.
I think it's a good practice to actually go places where your sacred cows are bound to be slaughtered periodically.
Exactly.
An example of this is actually pertaining to things like movies and this kind of stuff. A lot of the critics I watch will go after some of my favorite movies, and the first instinct is fuck you, dude. But when the criticism's valid, it's valid.
Yeah.
You know, Princess Bride was not a perfect movie, no matter how much I fucking liked it. You know. And of course, then there's a moment of heretic. How dare you criticize my sacred cow? Arr. There we go. But you know, there are some people that just nitpick, and some people that actually give reasonable criticism. And being able to recognize the difference is, I think, important. Whether it be pertaining to some kind of religious dogma or just simply some kind of music you like or what have you.
Exactly. And that Nickelback sucks. Yeah.
But we're in this weird fucking society now that, oh no, you can't talk about that. That's my sacred cow. Leave Bessie alone.
Screw that. Well, kind of going back to Harry Potter, I mean, she was criticized for making it darker. Well, she wrote a series of books that kept up with the age of the reader of the original book.
Yeah. Well, even more so, she was criticized even before that because her books are too long. Kids won't read them. Yeah.
Whatever. I read Lord of the Rings when I was between 8 and 10.
But in the industry, that's a sacred cow, is that kids won't read long books. You have to write these stupid little teeny 100-page things. And 100 pages is actually too much for most of them. They're like, oh no, 60 to 80 pages. It's like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of goes back
to get her butt in here.
Yeah, I just said that. Lally out in the outside chat.
There we go. Tell Dee to get her butt in here. I see her on Skype. Hey, what are you doing over there? Get in here. Dee, we need your voice. Exile might have gone to Britain, but she doesn't have the accent yet, so we need Dee. Granted, Exiled ended up stepping out, so might not keep this going that long because we're kind of short on people at the moment. For those that actually follow me on Google Plus, the link does exist. It is there.
Yay, Lally's coming in.
Lally! Okay, let me send her an individual invite to save her some hassle.
Yeah, I keep going back to Christopher Hitchens on, being offended. It's like his whole thing where, people say they're offended. And I go, okay, where's your argument? It goes back to the sex ed, the morality that Maximilian was mentioning. It's just because you're offended by the subject doesn't mean it doesn't need to be brought up.
Had a power dip there for a moment.
Heard that.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was actually going to go through the mic or not, so I thought it'd state what it was. That's my uninterruptible power supply warning me that we had a dip. It happens.
You got bad weather?
No. Oh, we've had a string of bad weather. I'm half tempted to go out there and check the damn line again to make sure the squirrel hasn't tried to eat my internet cable again.
Lally! Lally, Lalu?
Oh, hang on. Let me change visibility here. Shown broadcast.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, wait.
There we go.
Me. Let me actually do this while I think of it, because sometimes you're quicker on the draw than I am. Hey, Lally, Lally.
Hello, gentlemen. I don't think there's any ladies in here yet.
No, Exiled had to step out, unfortunately.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Don't call me a gentleman. You know me better than that.
As long as you don't call me a lady, that's all good.
Hey, she was talking to me. I'm the gentleman. You're the Paranor, and then we have Squid Boy.
Excellent.
To wrap us all in his tentacles.
Yeah.
I was pleased to see you broadcasting in the daytime so that I could actually perhaps say hi.
The thing is, I was actually going to be doing more of that, but people like Drag and Xbox have been doing it a little bit more lately, so I'll just join theirs when they have it running. It saves me a little bit of hassle.
Oh, totally. I just it's rare that I actually want to go on with somebody anyway, but I haven't. You're two of my favorite peoples, so I figured hello.
Love the new icon.
She likes us. She likes us.
Well, you were the very first person who I actually made voice contact with on here, so there's a special place in my heart.
Oh, actually,
I was there for that.
there's a little bit of weird fangirling too, almost.
Yeah, whatever.
That's okay. It wears
Oh.
off. You spend 5 minutes talking to me, you're like, oh, he's just some schmuck. Yeah.
But talking about fangirling, oh my! I was in a Brojo hangout off air. Patman, Jackie.
Hang on 1 second. Lou, the way that I get the comments on the screen is it's a feature of XSplit. I can either do a screen region where the chat box is, or it's a new feature through XSplit. You can actually do a direct feed from the YouTube chat into XSplit.
That's cool. The direct.
Yeah, it's now direct, so that I can put whatever background behind it and this and that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because that.
all the people at the
Sorry.
top are just screen regions. This
The
whole
reason
thing
you
is
think
just set
of
up to-
thought of me as for the record, the reason that you thought of me as a fangirl is that I when I like somebody, I don't pretend that I don't.
No. It
That's
was
all.
it was actually, if I remember correctly, wasn't. Oh wait, no, I might be thinking somebody else actually.
I think you are.
Yeah, I actually, now that I think of it, there's somebody with a very similar name, and I was sitting there thinking, oh yeah. Now I'm remembering the icon, going, oh wait, no, I'm off. That was I can't remember her name. She uses a skeleton icon, and she'd been following me back from when I was dealing with Scientology.
Oh no, that's definitely not me.
I got confused there. It occurred to me after the fact.
That's okay.
I paused and thought, wait a minute, no, her voice is much more annoying. Granted, your voice isn't annoying, but hers is. Yeah, Lulu63. There we go. Thank you.
Oh yeah, people. That's the reason I'm changing my name. Not because I don't like Lulu, because I actually do like Lulu, but because people confuse us for one thing and find it almost impossible to say my name. So I'm transitioning toward my Twitter name, which is Unspeakable, and now I'm in transition.
How can they confuse you with Lulu? Lulu speak. We've got a stream interruption. I'll see if that's just me or not. No, not stream interruption. I'm getting buffering.
Yeah. Hang on. Let me see if we have drops here. My processing's been going a little bit wonky. I'm going to probably have to upgrade this one too, like I did with the laptop. It's not showing any drops, so I don't know. I'm willing to wager it might be Google side.
Nah, just me. Just me that time.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's always my fault.
So, next month's big project is going after Spirit Science's history movie. We're at stage 2 of 4 right now.
Boom, boom.
My wife went through with Red Panda, did her whole shtick, going through the entire freaking thing with commentary. And we did Bully Goat, which is just periodically. And the next one up is the Rat, who's going to be, of course, as usual for the character, high as shit while watching it. And then the ferret gets entered in last, but we're at stage 2 right now, so fun. We're gonna we have a cameo from Epi, aka Max Hangout, that's going to be in it, and I might grab a couple other people. I'm probably gonna grab Microbloganism for his bullshit crap about genetics and how we're increasing our genome, and indigo children are choosing which 2 genes they're adding out of 6, and oh fuck me.
Oh, I didn't even. Yeah, he's been off my radar for a while. That Spirit Science dude.
Oh,
By choice.
Wait a minute.
The history movie
because I
is
just
like
dropped
most.
out.
Yeah, the history movie has been like the most requested, and I kept saying that there was no fucking way I was going to do it. But after having the channel fucked for 6 months, I'm like, I might as well. It's just going to take me a month to do it.
Well, I learned that that if I continued in some of the G+ communities I was a member of, that I would just get more and more irritated.
Yeah.
And so I just dropped them all, and so I haven't been thinking about it, which was the point. But yes.
Yep. Good for you.
Yep, so instead you're subscribed to somebody that occasionally just pokes them with a stick and says, dude, no, you don't go up to bears and say, hi, I want to be your friend. They will maul you, you moron.
Yeah. Well, it's not that I was interacting with them regularly, but when I first joined, I joined all these. I was in I was coming out of a woo phase, I guess. I don't know. I was borderline still, and so I joined all these, like, the community things. that are like spirituality and heart chakra this and that and the other thing. And then I gradually got more and more disgusted by what they were saying. And just kind of
Well, I mean, I was kind in my way, I was quote quote into that kind of thing for a while, but very differently than the lots of spirit science and this and that. And most of the people that run around going, I'm psychic, I never had any real respect for
Yeah.
those kind of claims.
Exactly, but it was hard to tell. No, I never was into that part of it, but I was always sort of peripherally around people who did.
Yeah.
And there was still a part of me, which I think I've finally gotten rid of, that really, really, really wanted it to be true. Really, really wanted. So I would keep moving away from things and keep moving toward, like, something else would catch my attention, whether it be like the Toltec, whether it be the Kundalini stuff, whether it be this, that, and the other, or the sound tones. And I would suddenly be like, well, maybe this is the way. Maybe this one's real. And I would pursue it for a little bit, and then, nope, still chasing that dragon. So I eventually stopped chasing the dragon.
The interesting thing is a lot of people I see get into it, whether it be the full-on woo or just your good old-fashioned Wiccans or pagans or what have you. And this is going to be a weird connection, but it almost seems connected to things like people that are big Dungeons and Dragons players and whatnot, wishing that there really was magic and just wanting it so bad.
That totally makes sense. I was the person who wanted to be an elf since childhood. So,
Hobbit,
yeah.
halfling for me. I think that can play into it as a basis for it if they don't clue in as they.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
As soon as I read fairy tales, as soon as and I did the same thing, like right around 8 years old, I read the Lord of the Rings, and I was like, okay, that's right, that's it. Like, I'm a fucking elf, and my life from here on in kind of revolves around, like, how do I become that? And but I never played Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just one of the many things in this whole thing of, them claiming, oh, well, this is getting kids into witchcraft. Well, witchcraft isn't a thing. Get the fuck over it. It's not real. You can't really cast spells. And I think part of it is people kind of coming to accept that. Now, at the same point, you have your good old-fashioned Wiccans and what have you, and I don't like giving them too much grief because when they're casting their little, like, love spells or what have you, it can give them the confidence to approach the person they wouldn't approach otherwise. So if they're kind of using it as a conduit on that level, I can't really necessarily fault that.
Exactly.
Just like prayer.
And I still have a guilty secret from my Wicca days. I have a warding spell in my freezer, and I don't run into that person. So
I still have my magic box. I wanted to mention something, Shadow. When you were talking about spirit science and thinking that kids can choose their genes type thing.
Well, yeah, he's pretty fully into that one, but he rides a weird line between like fundamental Christian, like, bibliophile, bibliolater.
Bibliolater works. Yeah.
Yeah. And like New Age, and that's a very strange.
You see quite a bit of it,
line.
though. I've seen I've seen a lot of people that when they start deconverting, they're kind of looking for that next spiritual high or whatever, and a lot of them go toward the New Age stuff. But I've also seen some Christians leaning towards it too, especially when it comes typically to like some of the yoga kind of practices, which is why you have the super fundy nutbags going, "Oh, yoga's of the devil," and all this horse shit. It's like, no, it's fucking exercise. Get over yourself.
You said yoga. I've got to see if I can still find that article. Competitive yoga.
I've been in those classes. It's one of the reasons I started practicing by myself. But there's mirrors in the room. It's hard. Yeah.
Here we go. There's the link for it.
But yeah, I actually, on some levels, I did learn a lot from that time period in my life. It's just as you start maturing and realizing, okay, this is hogwash, still a lot of the stuff that you get psychologically, it's still a thing, it's, you learn things at least about yourself on the subconscious level, and that's useful.
Hmm.
The problem is all the weird sacred cows that come with it. I mean, I criticize
Yeah.
yoga because even if you go back to the ancient Hindu beliefs in terms of them trying to figure out how the body worked and this and that, there's no seventh chakra. Sorry. And had people like going nuts over it. I'm like, I'm sorry, it's not on the vagus nerve. Now, if you want to claim that it's some magical spiritual thing outside of the body, fine. But even then, you have people like, oh, there are 13 chakras, and you're like, wait, what? Well, once you go out of
Oh,
the
that above those above the head ones and
yeah.
this and that. I still
And the
I still
ninth
get
chakra,
emails
you'll
from
be
them.
if you unlock your ninth chakra, you'll have telepathy, and if you unlock the 10th, you'll have telekinesis. Dude, come on.
That sounds like Scientology. That sounds like that right there. What you said
Yeah.
sounds like Scientology. I mean, I've been rewatching a lot of the old Scientology stuff, which I didn't know about you.
Oh,
have
hang
to
on,
do it
Para.
until
No,
lately.
don't screen share that.
No.
Don't screen share that. They're ones that you can get flagged for their shit, which is why I use it so sparingly. Now, granted, out
Okay.
on the stream, they're not going to be able to see it too well, but nonetheless. Oh, let me get you off the
Yeah.
box. Let me fix that. There we go.
Yeah, I'll just drop the link for it there.
Yeah, it's a fun
Yeah.
video. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's if Gandhi took a yoga class. It's my bloody religion. I know it.
Yeah, I did use a couple clips from that in one of mine, but if you use
Yeah.
more than a very small spattering, they will tag you on it, unfortunately.
Well, I will tell you. Yeah, I will tell you. The ShareBox seemed to have covered most of it.
Yeah, that'll usually free it up, but yeah, we don't need to worry about that one per se. But
Very.
I just wanted to cut it off before it aired, any of it potentially aired for any length of time.
Yep.
But you were boxed at the time anyway, so anyone on the stream should have been seeing the name, not the actual video, so we're good.
Yeah, it was just a very little portion.
But
You couldn't.
yes, quick plug, College Humor has some funny ass shit.
Yes. I can put the watch link in the outside.
But almost all of their stuff is set in with the YouTube thing, so it'll auto flag you on it.
Gotcha.
Which is why I
there
couldn't
wasn't
use.
enough of it.
Which is why I couldn't use the dildo boyfriend video thing that they had out there.
Oh.
Yeah, I tried to use that a small clip of that, and they're like, "Nope, fuck you." I'm like, "Okay, fine, have it your way."
How about the dildo song? Would that have worked?
I don't know. I didn't even try that one, but there is one that's like, the guy comes home and the dildo is sitting that's in the girl's bag is sitting there having an argument with her about this other guy that she's been seeing, and midway through the argument, the pocket pussy or whatever pops up out of his bag and enters the argument, and he's just like,
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
I've got it.
it's a
gotta
funny
look that
one.
up.
I'd have to find it again, but
I'll look it up.
the stuff that they have on the tube is just bizarre, and some of it's really fun. Because hypocrisy is a thing. Anyway, back to Woo though for a moment. There have been a lot of times with me going after some of these weird claims that it's been a little bit uncomfortable because some of the stuff is like, I kind of used to do this. I used to kind of be part of that, and I used to buy into this, that, and the other thing, and that's where it gets uncomfortable. And there's this level of cognitive, and I don't necessarily want to call it cognitive dissonance because I can look at these things much more objectively now and explain, we'll just say, the phenomena that I was actually exposed to. But being able to explain it doesn't necessarily kill it right out of the gate.
I had to steel myself and really discipline my brain to watch your one on Kundalini.
Yeah.
Because there's one thing that I still, it's not a sacred cow, but it is something I don't want to know how it works. And I just don't want, the other day I was on Joe Carter's show and somebody, it's firewalking. And I don't tell me if you know, like, don't tell me, just don't.
That's actually not on my list.
Okay, because it's one of those things that was absolutely seminal in my progress through life, and I don't want to know how it works. And I know that there's an explanation. I prefer to keep it that I don't know.
Well, is it okay to say that a lot of it is mental discipline?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is the part that I got out of it. I don't think that the God came down and lifted me up. But there was something weird going on, and
Mhm.
there was something, and the point for me was facing fear.
Yeah.
And disproving. I
Just-
bet.
Just trying to get use of my hand back, which now it's most of the way there. I can even flip people off now, so
Yay.
it's come a long, long, long way from there. But there's still some cognitive crap floating around up there that damage. I don't know even how to go about it in general, but I've used video games to help with some of it at least. But in terms of like
For
words,
the fine hand motor thing, for the fine hand-eye coordination and stuff like that.
and actually initially my left arm wasn't working at all.
Oh, I remember that, but I mean for the video games I'm talking.
Oh yeah, a good portion of that is that, but the one thing that was really screwed up is, well, I may have gotten it, so to speak, remapped in terms of the neurons leading to where the hand is, so that I can actually use my hand and this and that. Where the motor skills really screwed up is actually in terms of where my hand is in physical space. My brain doesn't know.
Proprioception, is that what it's called? Proprioception. Yeah.
It might be. I'm not sure. I never did look up to see what the term was, quite honestly. But the thing is, what I've noticed is that my hand is never quite where I think it is. It's always off a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, and trying to locate that. A lot of video games have helped me a little bit with that, and I had been doing some typing for a while, and I kept looking down and going, okay, what's going on? My hand shifted at some point, so what's on the screen is just gibberish at that point, because my hand moved on the keys, because I used to actually touch type. But my brain thinks my hand's in one location and it'll start drifting. And then I'll notice I'm drifting and I'll overcorrect. So that's kind of a weird thing. Because your brain basically has an avatar, so to speak, of where it thinks you are, and it can go out of sync.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mine's out most of the time.
I will tell you, though, one of the big things, and this is actually a much bigger deal than something as simple as firewalking, relatively speaking, because that one's just like, oh, okay, well, we know that one, how that one works, and that's kind of cool. But the one that really stymies me is astral projection, because that's the one thing that I did a lot of when I was into it.
Now I never intentionally did that, and I don't think I know that's not within my purview of experience. Actually, go on. But I did see your show on lucid dreaming and the difference between that and astral projection.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really important thing to establish, but enough time's passed that now the way that because the thing is with this one, this is still kind of a dogma. There's a little bit of that sacred cow, and I might have the knife up to that proverbial cow's neck, but I'm not quite willing to draw it across yet. So I've been planning at some point on doing an experiment and doing some hangouts with folks in which I put them basically through a meditation and bring them through the, the proverbial walk, the proverbial astral walk, spirit journey, whatever you want to call it. Because for me, it was always just spirit journey is how I always parse it out. And bring them to a quote, quote, specific location that's supposed to be, there are areas over there that are supposed to be joint and ones that are individual. So it's like, okay, this is a construct, this only exists for you, and others that are supposed to be communal. And I want to, so to speak, take people on a spirit journey to some of the communal locations so I can see what they see there, so I can basically disprove this finally once and for all to myself completely.
I volunteer.
I've had a couple volunteers. I might add you to the list, actually. That could be fun. The thing is, though, it's going to have to be a row of people and see which ones are actually responsive enough that I can put into that meditative, quasi-hypnotic state.
Right. I'm not easily hypnotized and things like that, so I may not be the best choice for that, actually. Because
I broke out of hypnosis once.
It's only a quasi-hypnotic state. It's not full under, but I don't know. You never know. Basically, you see who's going to be receptive to it and who you can get under, so to speak, and into that state. Because it's not going to be everyone. But spirit journeys aren't like full out of body or any of this stuff. You're still very much inside yourself, so to speak. It's just your perceptions is elsewhere, so to speak.
yeah, I mean, I've had experiences that I can't call a journey somewhere that I could identify, but I don't know. It's not an alien concept to me, but I never did it on the direction of anybody else. So
I actually started off being guided. I learned a few things from somebody that was an actual medicine man, and I should say she was a medicine man because they don't delineate, and I like pointing that out because it's just kind of amusing. Because there is no such thing as a medicine woman, at least within the tribe that she was a member of. And she helped me a little bit with some of the guidance on this, and most of it was self-taught when all's said and done. But after that, I actually started helping other people with spirit journeys and this kind of stuff, and because it's kind of fun, because you never know what the heck they're going to end up with. And I usually take people very individualized, very one-on-one, but if I'm going to finish disproving this to myself completely, I'm going to need some controls. And the only fear I have is that I might send a bunch of people on this little trip, so to speak, and have them all see the same damn thing, and that would really throw me for a loop.
Yeah, but it doesn't. That that would throw me for a loop too.
Yeah.
So,
You'd
like,
have
did
to
you
do-
see last Saturday Bert did his thing with me?
No, I didn't.
There was I started off
I
trying
missed your
to.
bit, but I caught the rest of it.
Oh my God, his bit. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, dude was
Holy
talking.
shit.
Okay,
That's
come
why
on,
we have
Tara.
the
It's story
thumbs
time.
I was agreeing with Para in that he was unexpected and completely not complete. I don't know. He's one of those that got the you'll get the front end and then made a new dogma about it. He followed Kalpa, he followed Kalpa, and is writing his own stories now.
He was so full bravado for that.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I was
okay,
just
hang on.
dude, you heard.
I'm missing some context here.
Okay, I went in because Helena made me, and traditions have helped me identify my instincts and things like that. But this guy apparently caught some concepts that he identified as related to his own. And I had never met him, or I don't think anybody else had either, but he decided to join and monopolize.
That happens.
That's an understatement.
But he took it somewhere that I. The reason I brought it up, sorry, completely lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Was the collective awareness thing, and that was one of the ways where places where I went, that does not jive. Collective memories and collective mind, basically.
There are certain notions in terms of this idea of like collective consciousness and this and that I do hold as being useful dogmas, but only when you have it as this vague subconscious thing that nobody can tap into directly.
There you go. Yes. Because I mean, if I went into my own metaphysic, it would involve maybe something like that, but not something that we are building toward this place where we are all going to be able to, yes, that and the other thing. Yeah.
Yes, this is not Highlander with a whirlwind in your mind and you can get people to talk together through the whirlwind. Fuck off. This is not Highlander.
No, this
so
guy
anyway,
was...
that's the be all and end all of my story. So go on, Para.
I actually a little while ago ran into I was just sitting there in a hangout and some guy starts going on about the law of attraction. I was so unprepared for it because I've dealt with law of attraction as a topic, but I was unprepared to be in a room with somebody that had actually believed in the shit. And I'm like, what, you believe that? It's about the most I could manage. Go ahead, Para.
No. Yeah, no. Train wreck now.
No, okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to derail you completely there. By the way, once again, for those out in chat world that may be viewing, and it looks like on my count here that we have about 8 viewers currently. If you go to my G Plus page, you're more than welcome to see about coming in and trying to join the conversation. It's there. The link exists on my Google Plus page. In any case, oh, Fabio, let's make him visible. Oh, damn it, he dropped out. Oh well.
Ooh, Fabio was great the other day. I've been he took on he encountered the Darwin's deity MK phenomenon?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my gosh! And I think I was like, Fabio, do you know what you're stepping into? I think he handled himself beautifully, though. He was a purely cultured European gentleman, as opposed to them.
Oh, Fabio's a riot. I love Fabio.
Me too.
Oh, he is great. MK's got blocked me.
That
And I
might be a
wasn't
good
even
thing.
being aggressive.
He is a strange and becoming stranger young man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 30s.
Yeah. But the thing is, and it's really easy to go after, people that believe very different woo concepts and kind of mock them and this and that. But the harder thing is to try and get them to kind of identify with what you're saying and get it to go through. And you almost need to try to meet them on some kind of common ground, because I know in terms of qualia, there's a certain experiential quality or veracity or vitality even to these experiences that's really hard to kind of fight against. It's very similar to the hyper-religious experience that you see of some of these people that, they feel moved by Jesus, etc.
Well, my theory is that a lot of these, in fact, perhaps, possibly, all of these experiences are kind of one actual phenomenon onto which we paste our pre-existing frameworks. And that's something that I've been playing with, even down to everyone from like my neighbor, the evangelical Christian, to Jesus himself, to the people who see aliens and shit like that. I don't know. But I mean, I had an experience, and I had little enough pre-existing framework where it didn't fall into anybody's mythology, and so I chased around after some, but I wasn't stuck with any of them, and so it was relatively easy to shed them. And I don't have an explanation, but it's a thing. it's that thing that they.
We were driving down the road, and there was this. Well, I was sitting there, quote, dabbling, casting a spell, whatever the hell word you want to put to it. There was this brilliant blue flash. I slowed down a little bit, thinking that there was a cop somewhere on the road behind me that might have turned their lights on. Nope, that wasn't the case. There's also a fair amount of traffic. There was this car that went speeding by me at one point, and I kept slowly. I'd eventually go and catch up with them and pass them, and then they'd pass me again. There was this weird thing going on with that too, and I don't know what their deal was. But as we're driving down the road and I'm doing this, we got that weird blue flash, which seemed to be right above the car. Then there was a second one. And, in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, are other people seeing this? And my friend behind me responded to the second one, like, what the hell's going on here, kind of thing. And I just kept going. And then as we were further down the road, another brilliant blue flash. And the car next to us, that one that we'd kind of been going back and forth with, I kind of glanced over and I saw the driver and as well as the passenger looking over at our car with this look of absolute horror on their face, like, what the fuck? And then they slammed on their brakes and we didn't see them again. But how do you explain that? And especially when you're keyed to kind of believe in this kind of stuff. This is one of these things that can only go in your unexplained box, and you can just hope that you eventually come up with a way to try and reconcile it with reality.
Was it storming?
No, there was no storm. It was a clear day, and I spent
A clear
years.
day. It was in the daytime.
It was day. It was dusk, actually, technically speaking.
Okay.
It was dusk. It wasn't full on night yet, but it was a bright enough flash that, oh yeah, even with the sun setting, you could see it. And by the third flash, the sun had finished going down. But regardless, the sky was clear. There was no storms, no rain, no nothing. Clear day. And I've sat there and I've told this story to people in terms of, sometimes things need to remain in your unexplained box until you have a actual explanation for them. And I'd have so many people fight, and I'd have, oh, well, you expected something to happen. No, I didn't. Well, your friend expected something to happen. Well, we both saw it. Well, yeah, but maybe he was just responding to you. No, he commented on it as well. Well, even then, he was still, and you get all these weird justifications. So years and years later, I told the story because my way of dealing with this was to tell the story to as many people as possible until somebody popped up with a reasonable, rational explanation.
I know. Ooh, a seagull had hijacked a police cruiser and flown off with the flasher light or one of those EMT lights that you stick on the top, you know, and he flew off with it in his paws, and then he landed on the top of your car, and then he flew off again after 3 flashes.
So in any case, I got talking with a friend of mine, Brian J., and his father actually used to fly planes. And this was, you know, early into aviation before they were EMP shielding all the planes. And he said that sometimes they'd get, courtesy of things like microwave radiation, these blue flashes by the cockpit. And I thought about it, like, let's look this up further. And come to find out that if you take a cork and stick a match in it and put it in the microwave, you can actually get the same kind of blue flashes. It's actually from microwave radiation. And then I did a little bit more searching, and they were doing microwave testing in the area.
Cool.
Because I was driving through the telecom corridor. Now, the thing is, I never said, this is magic. This is something I did. I always said, this is something in my unexplained box. Now, I have an explanation. If I had made that claim, I would have been wrong.
Right.
Because we now know what the hell it is. And I'm glad to have an explanation of it. But prior to having that explanation, it's simply unexplained, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
As Collyman said, St. Elmo is a version of St. Elmo's fire.
More or less, yeah. It just requires microwave testing in the area. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I was up in Massachusetts. We were driving through the telecom corridor, and yeah, them testing something like that is, you know, not actually a big surprise. It's just something I would have never made the connection to. And thankfully, we have the internet, which helps us debunk some of this crap. But that's the thing is, if you have something in your unexplained box, tell people the story. See if they can come up with something. Don't just sit there and start jumping on the first conclusion. Not too long after that event, my friend and I, the one that was in the car with me, went to a party, and some kid was talking about his wooey, magic-believing horse shit. And my friend turns to him and says, points to me and says, he's gotten visual effects. I'm like, no, we haven't been able to replicate that. We don't know what the hell was going on. Don't say that.
Yeah, you have to also tell the story to people who are not going to be knee-jerk reaction.
You'll keep coming in, and before I can actually show them in the broadcast, dropping out. What the hell, Wolf?
Sorry, I was looking down. I didn't see.
Oh, he wasn't in long enough for me to even click on the down arrow. Saw him right when he came in. Well, seeing as we aren't getting people to stay put, somebody was talking about burning puppets. Heresy! How dare you! Yeah, St. Elmo's fire, incidentally, seeing as I saw a question mark, and there is a phenomena that people would find when they're out at sea, and I don't remember what causes it, but it's a known phenomena, and it looks like light going across the, I think, bow of the ship, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's basically an aurora borealis, a charged air, like with a thunderstorm or something like that, the electrostatics against any of the metal and that sort of thing creates a small plasma, which is the light.
Yep. And it's not harmful. It's kind of pretty to look at. But this, of course, leads to all kinds of weird beliefs about it. You know, like this area is cursed or it's ghosts. Or, you know, you see all these weird beliefs about it until they had an explanation. Now, anyone that made claims as to what it actually was and what was causing it prior to having a good explanation was kind of... it's kind of bullshit to do that. You need to actually get a actual explanation before you start going around claiming that it's anything.
Investigate. Don't assume.
That's why I
you know
asked
it
about
all.
storms.
Yeah,
That's why I asked about storms, because that was my first instinct, was the St. Elmo's fire effect or something electrical. Yeah.
No, that would have actually made a lot more sense and taken a lot less time to figure out.
Yep.
But I mean, that's the thing is, I still have a lot of things in my unexplained box, and in my particular case, I'm comfortable with them staying there until I have an explanation. The problem is most people are dissatisfied with that and will go and end up falling into whatever weird belief they end up with. You know, oh, well, gee whiz, it's a sign from God or some wooey thing or aliens or whatever the hell.
They make it all about them.
People crave a story. They crave a story, and they crave, they crave certainty, even if it's not justified certainty.
And
some people do.
And that's why I end up arguing with so many darn religious people, is because they claim such certainty, and it's just, no. You don't have an explanation. That's okay, really.
Yeah.
We're going to
And
just
they
attach
argue
this to
for
our
certain,
car.
and they argue for certainty through uncertainty.
Well, I mean, I find it on the atheist side too. I mean, half the reason I don't talk about my stuff very frequently is because it will be taken as woo, and it's not.
Well, okay.
What it, or it
In
could
terms of
be.
that story, around the thing is, around the time that I got in that discussion, Brian wasn't the only one in the room. It was myself and Brian, Inventor Gorilla, and partway through this was a Skype call, incidentally. Partway through the call, Gray Knight popped in, and I was pretty much at the end of the discussion, and I went to retell it to give him the context and let him know what we were talking about, and he immediately jumps on with, well, you know, that's your cognitive bias. Well, you don't know what the people in the next car actually saw. I'm like, wait, whoa, dude, we already have an explanation for this. We figured it out. Stop being a dipshit. I mean, there's a point at which you're just rationalizing shit away because it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Back
I
to
mean,
sex. Sorry.
this is why a while ago I did that video discussing this notion of experiential realities, because the quality of something that's an experience can actually be as strong as, you know, something that's actually happening in reality, whether it's something like astral projection or whatever the hell. This can feel just as real as an experience to the individual as anything that happens in the actual world.
Trauma is trauma, whether it be negative
Or
or
more
positive
so.
too.
Or more so.
Yeah, often more so.
In one case. Yeah.
Well, it's often more so because it is all about the person.
Well, okay, but going back to my particular case, and why I'm still a little bit leery of fully going after the astral projections, quote, spirit journey, whatever, however you want to parse that one out. It's not because I'm afraid it'll be proven wrong. I'm afraid that there might be shown to be some validity to it, and that would actually be a little bit more unnerving to me, because coming to the conclusion that this is all something that's completely psychological is very comforting to me, because I feel like I have an explanation. And if that explanation gets pulled out from under me, I'm not sure where to go with that. But at the same point, all of those experiences, when I start getting into conversations with some of these Christians that are, I think it was Shamos a while ago, who's like, well, you know, transcendental claims can only be countered by transcendental evidence. I'm like, I've got that. Let's go. And he didn't like that too much.
I'm wondering, I've been wanting to have that conversation with people. Like, okay, how do you respond to my personal experience, and why is mine less valid than yours, and why? How do you? What's the deal with? Or what if I decided to, just for the sake of argument, or argue as a Hindu, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because it can't be like mine, because mine is unique to me, and that's it. It's special. I think that's why. Because I had actually on topic, I was actually engaged with NeoCloud in a St. Tommy hangout, and I made mention that I've had experiences that were just as potent, as miraculous, amazing as a religious experience, but I'm still an unbeliever. So it was empathy towards Neo talking about how he felt during this experience of his, and he just went off. He said, no, you can't know how I felt. And it's like, well, I don't attribute it to the same things, but we're both human. Yes, I can have the same feelings. I love, I hate, I hurt, I have joy, just like you do. Different reasons, but I still express. And those quote unquote religious or spiritual, just mind blowing, body blowing away experiences I've had.
But that's
It's just I don't attribute it.
The idea that this is something that can only be gotten through his kind of religion is one of these sacred cows.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yes, it has to be like my story is the right story, and that's why I have a whole like collection on the post side of G+ devoted to Homo Mythologos, and just devoted to sometimes having fun mythological explorations of this, that, or the other god, but frequently about the stories that and just challenging even my own, challenging, especially my own, maybe.
I think challenging your own dogmas is
explanations.
actually the most
Yeah.
important.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
mean,
it
I
sounds like
had- I
lawnmower
had-
guy showed up.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's fine. I had the scientism. So I had severe scientism growing up, and at the same time as wishing I was an elf, but it was always just wishing mostly.
Mhm.
And I mean, I had it blown out from under me, just blown out from under me by that thing. And I was like, well, okay.
By
Apparently
something in
all
that
those-
unexplained box.
Yeah. So that was a massive chunk of this is a big giant unexplained. And it took some traveling through the various forms of woo, and at the same time, but I was able to identify that experience in various traditions is what I did to explain it. Like, okay, for thousands of years, people have been having something that they are describing in words that resonate with me. And so chances are this is a consistent experience that people have, whether or not, and it doesn't have to do with anything extraordinary, extra, whatever.
Oh, I get where you're going. I get where you're going. And the thing is that people have these kind of experiences all the time. We know the neurology of some of the experiences even now. And it's really neat stuff, but this whole notion, and you see this when you're doing like the pre-suppers and this kind of stuff of how can you know your senses are reliable. My argument these days is that you can't, because our senses do trick us all the damn time. And it's not an intentional thing. It's not that we go out to seek these kind of experiences. It's just our senses are kind of weird. The way our brain sometimes kind of hiccups, so to speak, if you even want to call it that, is just fascinating.
You know, it occurs to me that you may be the one person who is actually able to get through to MK13.
I don't know. I could try talking to him at some point. People
'Cause
saddled me
that's
up.
where he's at.
Some people challenged me to talk to Beasley, assuming that I wouldn't be able to have a decent conversation with him. I did initially, but yeah, he went off the deep end.
Oh, this is a totally different situation. Totally different. Although yeah. Oh, no, he's not like that at all. But he has convinced him, he's worked himself around to pretty much global skepticism.
Oh, no.
But at the same time believes in the Christian God.
People pushed him into
as basically the demiurge.
Oh, okay.
Well, as like he can change he's unfalsifiable and unverifiable, and because he can constantly change the thoughts in your mind and fuck with all of your perceptions, so it's completely unreasonable not to believe in him, or not to take him seriously.
Are you saying he's
But
a
he
good
doesn't
manipulator?
know. I'm sorry. Say again.
Are you saying he's a good manipulator?
Oh, MK, no.
Oh, okay.
No, he is manipulating himself.
Oh, okay. Self-manipulation. Okay, that's what I needed clarification
Oh.
on. Okay.
Oh no,
and
no.
others as well.
Because if I
has
were to
a
talk
very
to him,
wild-
it's a very different approach depending on how they tend to manipulate, whether it's themselves or others or what have you.
He seems a lot younger than he is. He's early 30s, but
Yeah.
he's a very, very young person. Very young.
You gotta be like as if you're talking to a 12-year-old
Huh.
or maybe 10-year-old in this sort of thing. Yeah, I was like where he blocked me. Scott was in on the conversation as well, and he said I was direct, but I wasn't, as MK said, a bully. There was no aggression; it was just direct. And yeah, he just didn't like it. I was quote unquote attacking him. He couldn't get the concept that I was putting forth. I can't remember exactly what it all was, but I wasn't using the kid gloves with them. I was just being direct.
Feel free to give me a
And,
warning and a nudge at some point. I wouldn't mind going in and having a conversation with him at some point.
I don't know why I still think about. I feel bad for it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen when he first came on, I saw this it's basically, I saw this pain where he was trying to find a reason not to believe in this God. And then I saw him realize that he felt, when he had almost convinced himself that he didn't, then he felt like such meaninglessness that
Yeah.
it was a visceral meaninglessness.
Mm.
Well, he
And
posted on G Plus that basically that he was about to commit suicide.
right, exactly. And I tried, I mean, I messaged him so many times, trying to connect and trying to get like, and he just ignored the shit. He just completely ignored me. So I was like, all right, I don't know. I've tried a lot of, I've tried my hardest
think
here.
at that-
I'm not going to bug the shit out of him. So,
Yeah, I'd
but
probably-
now
I
it's
think
just
at
like,
that,
whoa.
I
Strikes
think
me
at
as-
that point, some people got their claws in on him. Just saying loud.
It strikes me a little bit. Okay, with Beasley, before actually dealing with him, I actually had to observe him for several hours before even bothering to go in there to try to converse with him. So
Yeah.
it sounds like it's a similar situation in that he's going to require some study to figure out who the hell he is and what the hell he's about before interviewing him about who the hell he is and what he's about.
Right. I mean, right now, well, okay. Before he moved into this new defending the reasonability of believing in the Christian God, he went through a conspiracy theory phase, which was kind of the kickoff of this global skepticism thing, I think. But it's really kind of been disturbing to watch. So.
Yeah, that does happen, unfortunately. It's a kind of a thing. And once again, as a reminder to those that are out there watching, if you go to my Google Plus page, the link has been posted. You're welcome to join us if you'd like. Just hold on a moment while I actually show you in the broadcast. Please, unlike the last two people that just fell out of the darn room. Anyway. Have to throw that out there, see if we can get a few more participants. That'd be kind of nice, but in participation-wise, it's a slow day because I think people are at work, and the lawnmower isn't helping. I don't know if that can be heard on the stream at all.
It gets worse. I'm going to have to drop out soon.
It was just silent, low in the background for me, so I don't know.
Okay, cool. So it's not that big a deal then. Because if it was actually getting
No.
to be a problem, I'd have to see about running this down. But yeah, I mean, I totally get the Sacred Cow thing so much because I still have so many things that I hold on to. And some of them I hold on knowing that they're probably bullshit, but they're just useful tools, like the notion of the collective consciousness, as long as you keep it as this kind of subconscious undercurrent thing. At that point,
Yeah.
there's no real harm in it, and it ends up being kind of like karma for all intents and purposes. And I don't see there being a problem with that. You know, the
Hang on,
idea
Joe.
of everyone being all connected isn't bad.
Oh,
Well, I
you're
mean, we
right.
are. I mean, in my personal mythology, we are but it's more on a I don't know. I'm like a quintessential neutral monist.
Well, the thing is, we do have a sort of collective consciousness. I mean, we all live in the same, regional culture, and people just know certain things in their area that are, if this happens and this happens type thing. Or who's involved or this, or you think about it because they're all similar, right? So we have a shared knowledge, which seems
Like, only is it limited to humanity?
Hang on, my mic went goofy for a moment there. Sorry about that. Actually, yeah, I tend to just think of it as more of a human collective as opposed to bringing in the rest of the cosmos, because that just doesn't work as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, because mine is more not necessarily limited to the self-aware, rational kind of consciousness. I don't even know what consciousness freaking is.
The problem is you take that to a point and you start including things like parameciums and whatnot. If you go down too deep, and you get into problems long before that, quite frankly.
Well, I'm not talking about like conscious as in self-aware is what I don't think consciousness is really a thing.
Well, we're talking more so a collective subconscious, at least in the way that I tend to parse it out.
Okay, yeah, I think we're talking about different things. Never mind.
But the idea of things being interconnected in nature and this and that, yeah, well, certainly. But in terms of some kind of like, whether it be subconscious or conscious kind of thing, that's kind of this undercurrent, when you start including organisms that are too far estranged from the way that we think and function and interact and what have you, I think that's kind of where the problem comes in. The way that I look at it more is that, and here's where we border on woo for a moment, is the notion that we all basically have our electromagnetic fields, and we actually do bring in a lot more information than we actually process. So
Mhm.
basically, on a subconscious level, we're more aware of the thoughts, deeds, actions, etc., of those around us, on a level that we don't even fully comprehend, like with micro muscle movements and this kind of stuff, that some of these things we are perceptive of without being consciously aware of processing them. And
Oh, certainly.
I think it might go a little bit deeper than that, that maybe the natural magnetic fields around us on some levels interact with others, and this is how we're more easily able to pick on the emotions of others. But that can also be written off potentially as simply being micro muscle movements and this kind of stuff. So it's hard to figure out where the line might be.
Well, I know
Well,
that yeah,
take
that
it-
whole
take-
energy thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's in the
I-
unexplained box.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would actually say there might be something to it, whether it be electromagnetics or maybe even just feeling the change in the airflow. Because, I mean, people can come up behind you or stuff like that, or start coming up behind, maybe a little bit away, and you just know without hearing anything or something like that. You can get certain reactions,
we-
like hair coming back up
we-
on your neck or something.
Right. I mean, we can tell things about people. I mean, think about gaydar. Personally, I have eating disorder dar, from across a city block.
Mhm.
But gaydar, it's the same deal. How do I know that? I don't know. I just do.
Yeah, and that goes back to the collective conscious, kind of thing. It's just you don't cognitively realize what you know.
I'm just going to make a quick footnote. As a rule, I don't actually broadcast people that I don't know, and that's the case with you as well, Joe. The other two are on the broadcast. You're not, and I don't know why you're showing sperm, so I'm giving you the boot.
No, Joe's good. Joe's good.
That was Joe Carter.
Joe's good.
actually-
I was wondering if it might have been a Poe using the same ID or something. So
No,
No.
no.
not big on taking
Sorry,
chances.
Joe.
Sorry.
No, I'll very
Oh,
much.
well.
It's kind of sad because when
I
he was using a different icon that I'm used to, when I went to kick him out and it showed the old icon, I was like, ah, shit, I know him. Fuck. Oh,
He will never ever forgive you.
yeah, well,
Now it is vendetta.
shit happens.
Yep.
But yeah, after the shenanigans that happened, 7 months ago now, I refuse to take any possible chances.
Well, yeah,
They
that
call
is
me
a little bit
paranoid.
of trauma.
No, that was a bad joke. Sorry. No, you have to be slightly paranoid about it, especially people who use GIFs or animated avatars.
Yeah, I was horrified that in a moment it was going to show the other end of where the sperm was coming from, and just like, ah.
Oof. You just gave me a flashback of what happened on your channel.
Yeah.
And I was just about to eat lunch.
Well, the kicker is, okay. After they sit there and take the shit down like that, you can't even look at the footage. You can't even look at the video to see if any of it actually fucking aired. So I will never know if it aired or if it was even visible on the stream. I will never fucking know now.
Yeah.
I just know that it's like this channel's been shut down because of porn. I'm like, what the duh? That fucking drove me insane. That was such bullshit.
I'm glad the discussion's finally being demanded about it, though.
Yeah. Finally, we got it's a huge fucking problem. And that's the other thing about that other site is that, short of setting your camera to something like, XSplit or something like that, multicam, etc., there's not much you can do to actually show video on that site. It just tends to show the circles, and I can decide whether I'm showing just cameras or if I'm showing cameras or not on it, which is kind of nice.
Yes.
Actually, in the off-air Hangouts now, apparently you can do something with that too. I have to check to see how it's set with the corporate Hangouts, though.
I hadn't heard of that change.
Yeah, I noticed it the other day that you can set on your end so it only shows the image, so it doesn't show any video from anyone. But that seems to only be in the off airs. Anyway,
I had it out there for a bit.
going on for a little bit of a while, and I should probably do something useful like pick up the tennis balls in the backyard before he gets there. So I should probably consider calling this.
Oh, we're at the 150.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure to speak with you, non-gentlemen. I caught myself. Did you see that?
No,
Karen?
I'm okay being called a gentleman. I'm fine with that.
Excellent.
My old joke was chivalry may not be
Oh.
dead. It's dented and dinged and rusty as hell, but it's certainly not dead yet.
And I'm always a gentleman first. I'm just a perfect close second. That's all.
And let's take the broadcast down here. And thank you for everyone that did join. It was nice having y'all. And yeah, sorry about that.